just general crowd noise. You can use it.
And I feel sorry for you and your lack of soul.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to Circus Bazaar magazine, penned from the crooked timber of humanity. First up in this dazzling spectacle of intrigue is a character of eclectic political dimensions, a musician, a philosopher, an animal welfare advocate, a great plate spinner from the land of Odessa, Ukraine. He is educated in Moscow, Russia, and he is a long-serving journalist and producer of the Ukrainian media establishment. In recent times, he has produced revealing investigative journalism for CNN on the Russo-Ukrainian War. But more prestigious and overwhelmingly more reputable in every facet, he is the co-author of the astonishingly predictive article for Circus Bazaar magazine, Westworld. Be intrigued by his wacky wordsmithing as he dissects the technology of Russian and Western political propaganda. If you pay close attention, you may even see this man spin plates on a tightrope. Without further ado, and on behalf of Circus Bazaar magazine, edition 2, It Tolls for Thee, the Big Tent podcast brings to you our very own plate spinner all the way from the Pearl of the Black Sea, Sanyo Fylyppov. Enjoy the show. Okay, so Sanyo, how you doing, man?
Yeah, Shane, I'm really good, and der Kushlio sitte här.
What language is this?
Some ancient Norwegian language from the taken from the other planet.
But you understand I'm Australian.
Oh yeah.
I think you speak better Norwegian than I do. So anyway, thank you very much for coming on the Circus Bazaar podcast. And today we're going to talk about the article that you and Yulia penned for the latest edition of the magazine. But also, you also contributed and brought in other people. You're Ukrainian, and this was a huge benefit for the edition of the magazine. So thank you so much. But
Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, thank you for involving us.
yeah, but first of all, just tell us who you are.
I'm just a musician now, focused on doing some psychedelic disco, but also previously I spent maybe more than half of my life being journalist, and it was mostly in Ukraine, so I know something about it, and I know something about conflict since I'm originally from Crimea. And I studied journalism, can you believe in it, in Moscow? So yes, but it was long way ago. It was, I finished at Moscow University 20 years ago. It was, you can trust me, a long way before the conflict was started.
Okay. So yeah, you're from Crimea.
Yeah.
And how long ago did you leave Ukraine?
It was since I finished at the university in Moscow, where I was learning journalism on distance. I decided to move out of Crimea to my parents' house to Odessa and live it there right before the full-scale invasion.
So the article that you and Yulia have written for the magazine is built around the concept of the Western world and its role in Ukraine. And so what's amazing for me is the total change in perspective that everyday Ukrainians have got facing out towards the West and what we think of what's happening on the ground there. Obviously, it's a sensitive topic because there's a war going on and everyone's very passionate. So it's a difficult topic to talk about. But how do you feel everyday Ukrainians are reflecting on the outside world versus the war?
Just the whole issue in regular life of Ukrainian man is just if they want to be hired for being soldiers. because it is necessary now being there, if you are living there, to go to military office and say, here I am, if you want me to hire, but I am really doubt that people who hired against their will can be good soldiers. Are you sure that people that who do not, those who do not want to go to the war, to go to the front line, just can be really professional doing their job, since government asking them to kill someone, and I believe it's just impossible being effective in it against the will. For me now, I'm really just a usual philosopher in it. I'm not graduated being philosopher, but for me it will be most I don't know, most ecological together from both sides those people who want to go to the war. And you can trust me, it's millions. It's millions, at least from Russian side, who really want to kill some Ukrainians, and gather Ukrainians who want to kill Russians, and just cancel them just in one day in some relatively humanical way, by electricity or I don't know, by gas, and just cancel those people, and live your normal life after it. It will be most ethical, because for now in the whole Ukrainian issue, it's not such an ethical problem when soldiers kill each other.
Yeah.
So if soldiers shoot to soldiers, it's okay. It's normal. It's normal to kill the soldiers, even at any scale of thousands, 100,000s, doesn't matter. But when it's casualties between it's civil people casualties, is that the problem? And why just regular civil people who do not want even to think about it should be injured or died because of someone want to make the war? So yeah, it will be most ecological way, but I can find the reason why we can't do so now.
Well, that's war, isn't it? I mean, this is the whole problem.
Yeah, but we became, more civilized people, and thinking about ethics probably each day. Is it ethical to kill someone? Is it ethical to send people to be died or to be to kill someone against their will? I think it's not ethical. It's exactly the same not ethical as kill soldiers just in one day from both sides. And who want, and it's a really important moment, who really want to go to the war. Do you want to go to the war? No, you are staying alive. You want to go to the war, you will be dead today.
No, but a lot of people.
What's the problem?
Well, a lot of people in the Western world are for the war. They're for Ukrainians fighting the Russians, but they don't want to send their own children. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're pro-war.
The same with the poverty. Look to the Putin, to the whole Russian elite. Their children not sent into the war exactly as children of Ukrainian elite.
Yeah, but one of the most interesting things about your article is your guys' assessment of the political situation in Russia itself. I mean, you have such close experience living in Crimea, and you studied in Moscow, so you've got a pretty grassroots understanding of the politics there. You say that Moscow's been looking for an anti-Western narrative for decades, and you refer to them as Kremlin technologists. So you say that Russia's been through a whole lot of different scenarios, and they're finally settling on like the one that's happening now, which is that the Western world has sort of cast a spell over Ukrainians or something, and they use that to propagate propaganda to Russian people. But just explain that. I mean, your use of words like Kremlin technologists, it's awesome. So just rant on about that.
I just always wondering if people who does their job well are they thinking about ethics? But I call it self-radiation. When you need to spread something, when you need to be working with some dangerous poisonous substance, as you can call it information, and especially when it's not only information but narrative. When you're creating really poisonal shit, poisonal to spread, of course you can be self-radiated and you can believe in what you're doing afterwards, and that's what happened with the most of political technologies people, and that's why probably they do not they care about ethics, but it's other ethics then they really probably will be introducing, not being such engaged at that conflict.
So you say the information is like radiation, and these dudes have self-radiated.
It's kind of slang of political technologies. When they starting to spread some narratives, they calling it, it's just like spreading the waves, especially with the help of TV, which is spreading with the help of waves, radio waves. You can call it radioactive waves, but it's pretty similar, but just meaning of that helping you to understand how poisonal it can be.
But you worked as a producer in a TV station in Crimea, yeah?
No, in Odessa. Odessa, yeah.
But did you have this way of thinking then?
Yes, and under different presidents of Ukraine, it was supported by different parties, supported different narratives to spread. And when it was under Kuchma and Yanukovych, they spread a lot of some kind of narratives. Let's be with Russia, let's be friends, so on. And then it was changed literally in months. When the whole Russian, when the whole Ukrainian society must be going to a completely controversial way, and it's okay when you got some freedom speech and when you can decide what is better personally for you, what is better for you as journalist, what is better for your editorial. But when it's became impossible to make what you did literally months ago and what it was built for years, and it became just like card game, just means nothing just in 1 minute. So yes, of course, so much people was really upset because of it, because they spent some part of their life building something that they found became illegal even just after several months.
And by that you mean...
That's what happened.
That you mean sort of like...
At one of my chief's office, it was the portrait of Putin. And it was supported by president of Ukraine, previous president of Ukraine. But then everything has changed. And it was prohibited to have the portrait of Putin in the cabinet, in the office. I wasn't support that, and I honestly think that Russians who take some people like me, and especially me, to get the university education, to be educated in Moscow, and it was one of the best university in the whole ex-Soviet Union countries. But they just, did a wrong beat in my case, because I'm listening to good music. I was always the whole my life pro-Western guy. I enjoyed with Western living, Western values, and so on. But they prepared so much people to make its job in this way, just evolving people, and it was real. But then it turned just in, they telling you right after Maidan, it turned out that second Maidan, where Poroshenko went to the power. It was, we found ourselves just in different country, but I always tried to keep myself inside, because I just realized it, that if you need to rearrange the whole your vision with any new president of Ukraine, you will be never having your personal opinion.
So was this explicit? As in, you guys have to do this, or was it just like a toe the editorial line? Or?
I can show you a lot of videos where people just were put to the trash because they was, they told something that was prohibited, not legally. It was legally, but what they said. But it was unsupported by poverty, by president's office, and it's appeared some activists did so. But it's just,
It's interesting. One of the guys that you got me in contact with to write another article for the magazine, Vadim, they wrote about the post-Soviet era and the pre-2013 era and the post-1991 era. And he separated them very sharply. And he being who he was very fond of that era, because he said it was chaos. It was hyper-capitalistic, laissez-faire, cutthroat, but extremely free and barbaric. I mean, how do you feel? I mean, you're old enough to have lived in both spaces. Do you miss the post-Soviet era?
Actually, that's one of the most reasons that we with Yulia decided to go out of Ukraine, because it's just like building something in sand. Just with each new wave, you can trust this country, because it's just unstable, and that's why we planned our movement probably more than 10 years ago. And for those who did it, I always wondered how we living abroad, and I just found that it's a completely different psychological state of that people who just went abroad. Because it's just, think about it, it's just like something in the water, and maybe it is, that just makes people angry. It was a good old Soviet cartoon. When they just need taking some, pills to be mad. And I have a feeling that someone is spreading, maybe in the water, maybe in the air, that mad pills or something, steam, just on a regular basis. Because and that's the main reason how to gather people who want to go to the war. It's completely, I just can't understand it. Do you want your sons to go to the war? Of course not, because it's with a higher level of probability they will be died, they will be killed. Yeah, you understand it?
Yes, of course.
Yes, I do. yes. But how they gather so much people who really want to go to the war? And that's really, for me, it's ethical problem that we need first to understand, to prevent it in other countries,
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, I hope you are enjoying this podcast. We just wanted to remind you that Circus Bazaar magazine is entirely self-funded and a wholly independent publication. We have no large investors or corporate backing. We don't even take government support. We would like to believe that the only true way to remain independent is to actually be independent. But at the end of the day, that is not only impossible, but it's also undesirable. For without you, the audience, we are performing to nothing. Just an ether of empty space with no life, no color or purpose. So we do in fact survive on the goodwill and support of those whom we are dedicated to perform. You. That is why we decided to, in part, move away from the digital space and all its overzealous corporate control and manipulation and produce something real, honest and tangible. Something that can't be taken away at the push of a button. Something that you can hold in your hand that has a sense of unalterable permanency. Circus Bazaar magazine is the best of which we have to offer, and in many ways our gift to freedom of speech of which we will always remain dedicated. Our promise to you is that we will never compromise our principles of diverse viewpoints and fearless critique of the human realm of which we both know as a circus. So in turn, if you appreciate our work and feel like we make a contribution to independent free media, then please head over to Circus Bazaar and subscribe to the print edition of the magazine. All details can be found in the description section. Thank you for listening to the Big Tent podcast, brought to you by Circus Bazaar magazine, penned from the crooked timber of humanity. Keep enjoying the show. Well, at least what I think the beautiful thing about this edition of the magazine is there's so many diverse views. Like, I go back to Vadim. He says that the post-Soviet era, starting in Maidan 2013, prior to that, there was very limited sort of understanding that Ukraine was its own, Ukrainian nation. And this, since 2013, has been something that's really been, let's say, I think he said he felt like it was pushed from the outside on Ukraine. So, I mean, these things, people's identity or national identity comes from the inside and outside. But it's clear from 2013 onwards that Ukraine become some part of the Western world with all its pros and cons. So, but you say that people in Ukraine, they talk completely openly about this phenomenon type of thing in the you call it the taxis and bazaars. That was good wording, bazaars.
Yeah. It's totally well known, and Vadim, she's amazing writer, I believe. Yeah, and I consider that because she's just art girl. She is involved in art, and when you're doing, when you touch in those spheres like artworks, you just have a different mind about the whole situation, and it's really hard to involve you to something that will be against your inner will. I call it inner will because it's kind of something other layer that made by propaganda, made by
don't hold the microphone. It makes it
not only propaganda on media, but also they introduce many propaganda just made by some agents who are really targeted to doing so just in society. And speaking with you, just trust talking, some such kind of that. And that's a lot of people. Actually, if you see the whole amount of people who is engaged doing some job for the poverty, you might be impressed because it's a lot of expenses, especially in Russia, of course. And when you just trying to talk about ethics, it's just important being not involved at all at this conflict. When you tell to yourself that you don't care about it, you have a chance to see how you can, sort all of that really complicated questions, because they started being apparent, and I, as a person who is panpsychist, who is believe that everything in universe are connected, and when you're doing something, your karma will be chasing you. It's such simple for me to understand, but I can't say if it's true or not. I just believe in it, just like some people believe, religious people. But I was asked, okay, you are just a regular Ukrainian who is living and trying to do your life, and that's exactly me. But just imagine that some invaders came to your house, to kill your relatives, what you will be doing, if you will be protecting them or not. And it's a good ethical question. Is it ethical to kill your enemies who came to burn your house, exactly your house? Will you be protecting your house? But it's also, and it's I see probably no one who is talking about that your enemy, who you're afraid to, is trained that you must be hating him. And when they see that you really hate them, they just the way for them to gather all the power against you and to kill you and your relatives more evil. But just imagine if someone came to burn your house and you opening your doors and saying, okay, let's have a good tea, just look how beautiful my house is. We are not against you, we're exactly the same people as you, probably, but just let's find some similarities, and maybe after that you will be not wanting to kill no one and to burn my house, and you will be starting to enjoy your own house. But I also understand, I also realizing that scenario is just impossible in our world. I'm just, painting some fantastical picture to you, but just imagine if it will be possible. And of course, maybe those evil people who did a lot of destruction in Ukraine, they just thought that Ukrainians are their enemies, and the more Ukrainians show that they really are, the more will to kill Russians have to kill Ukrainians. It's just simple to understand. And to find those people who really want doing so, the propaganda did a lot of effort doing so. And I know exactly that it was not only from Russian side. They just bought a lot of politicians, and I can provide not to you but to police or to Secret Service the whole list of them. It will be not comprehensive because I do not know each one, but I know someone who took money and who even spread money for growing those thoughts just in society. Look at them, they're against us, just let's kill. But as I started, the more reason for propaganda doing so, to start people thinking that it is so serious. But when you just being skeptical, it's really the remedy against it.
Yeah. This is the difficult thing.
But also, you can't be skeptical. It's first of all, now it's prohibited from both sides. Really prohibited.
This what I'm about to say.
Yeah. It's prohibited. You can go to jail for being skeptical. Not only for being against Putin, against Shoigu or someone else, but just for being skeptical. You can go to jail, and someone can come for your soul in Ukraine if you will be skeptical and if you will be too visible. Of course, you can sit just at your house, being locked with the door locked, and being skeptical quiet. But if you want to be skeptical loud, of course it's prohibited, and that's why it's prohibited.
Yeah. Well,
that's why.
This is the reality of war, isn't it? I mean, even the conversation we just having.
Everyone told so. Yeah, that's the reality of war. Yeah, but I don't want war to be happened. Yeah, just let's find the way, most ethical way to just cancel the war. Like we told from the start, that it's possible to cancel people who wants to the war, who want to go to the war, who want to make the war. Because, of course, it's impossible to make the war without civil casualties. Well, you heard it a lot, also.
The war will stop when enough people don't want the war.
Yeah.
You're
starting to realize, continue.
So you want to work to spread positive radiation that
Yes.
infects people
Yes.
to stop war.
Yes, and we need to spread it at first to Russian side because they are invaded. It's obvious, no matter how provocative Ukraine was before. It's really no matter. But Russians started the aggression, and it's visible for anyone. Even for those who are, war hawks from Russia, they are realizing it. Yeah, but can you imagine in modern world some people who just been spreading some positive vibrations to Russian soldiers? It's just, I don't know, it's just mind-blowing. And of course it's prohibited. And I don't know, maybe it should be prohibited.
But I think
show me other scenarios that will stop the war just in days,
Well, I think the Western world's got a lot of extremely good political technologists as well. And they're doing their best. But this is in the interest of advancing the Western side of the war. So it's not the same thing you're talking about, I guess. You're talking about everyone laying down their guns.
It's like different types of drugs. Probably, did you try some drugs which are acting like hammer to the head?
No,
but there exists, yeah.
No. Which ones are you talking about exactly?
I don't know. Something not psychedelical because it's different. It's not drugs, but some drugs. I don't know, something. Just like you totally wasted, just sitting and not realizing what's happening around you. Probably you heard about it, yeah.
No, not really. But I mean. Look, I'm totally familiar with things like
just drink a bottle of whiskey and you will be feeling something. Yeah, just in 1 hour. I did it. I took a bottle of whiskey just in 1 hour and it was pretty destructive, But there is also some different drugs like sugar, which is really drug, and you are really addicted of it. Which is spreading just, you can't even realize that you are on it.
Do you consume so much sugar in Ukraine?
I compare in the Russian style of propaganda, which is really good, and they're doing really good, but it's like hammer, It's just like hammer to head, and you can't escape, but you can't enjoy. But Western propaganda is totally different. You can enjoy, you can't escape also, and probably you can escape if you want. You have some choice, yeah. But probably you will be not even notice it, and that's really the good one. And that's one of the reasons that I consider West world really a lot way more powerful just for long terms. Probably for just 1 or 10 years of which will belong in Ukrainian war. I don't want this to happen for this war been lasted for 10 or 20 years, but that's what we what we see now. Because I remember when just war was started and we was in Ukraine, everyone from our Western society told to us with Yulia that just do not be afraid, NATO will help you just in days, just keep calm and everything will be gonna be all right.
You have goggles on.
yeah, but it's just it's lasting, and. Of course, I consider that for the long distance, Westworld is really way more advanced because Russia just simply have no modern history for making some campaigns, successful campaigns, which will be longer, which will be lasting more than 20 years.
Man, I love this. I love the analogy between sort of. We could be having a sophisticated conversation about propaganda, but you just metaphor it like different types of drugs. And you probably, most people probably understand this a lot better looking at it via that. But do you think that Western propaganda is losing its appeal, or is it stronger than ever? Because I feel like that more and more people are sort of seeing through the facade of Western liberal propaganda.
Yeah,
It's getting
I can
harder.
answer
Do you know what I mean?
I can answer.
Yeah.
The best propaganda based on facts, and actually the good facts which is working for you, which are not artificial propaganda, which is making from nothing. It's the best way. And look at that. Who is on side of West World? It's a really great coalition of more than 60 countries. Just think about it. And who is with Russia? Just North Korea and even not China, which is communistic.
Yeah, well, but I mean, India is pretty sympathetic to Russia at the moment.
Yeah,
and
we can
like
mention
Brazil and the BRIC countries
we can
and
mention
stuff like
all the BRICS countries. And probably Venezuela, probably India, probably China, but it's it's unofficial. Officially, which is kind of statement, more than 60 countries on the side of Ukraine. And would you imagine that probably, I don't know, 10 years ago, that Ukraine, when I told to my musicians, people that I'm from Ukraine, they answered, where is it? I don't know. I never heard about Ukraine. It was, kind of good PR for Odessa, which is really famous. Odessa was really a lot way more famous than the whole Ukraine. Because when we introduce ourselves with Yulia as Ukrainian musicians, people ask it, what? But when we introduced as we from Odessa, they, it's great Jewish town, city, which is really adorable, so on. But now, something, just Ukraine, who wasn't able even to provide good food for soldiers. I was living in Ukrainian kazarma, do you know this word? Just in Ukrainian, barak for soldiers.
Yeah.
Probably 20 years ago, and I tried that food. Man, did you remember that moment from Matrix movie? When they just, on Nabucodonosor ship, they just used that substrate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was exactly the same.
Oh, nasty.
Yeah, and can you imagine that now, exactly the same Ukraine can stand against Russia with the whole Soviet military legacy for years? And of course, that's possible only because of good West world propaganda, which was explained not from very first days of the war, but even before, that the whole Western society, and not even Western, not only Western, might be gathered to give to aggressor, which is Russia, some resistance. And that's what we see. And that's the best propaganda. I consider it the best.
It's pretty phenomenal, isn't it? That, I mean, you look at where Ukraine is placed on the map. It's surrounded to the north by Russia. And yet it's been able to resist.
I can mention that Arabic world, where they just killed journalists in the acid.
Yeah.
And even those are not friends of Putin now. Even such evil, because
it's pretty complex because Russia has a Islamic terrorist problem as well.
It's because of bad Russian propaganda and good Western propaganda. It might be looking like it's it's always the lack of supply to Ukraine that Zelensky mourning at UN tribune. But it looks like so. But think about it in other way. Will it be stopping? We can't see any sign of it. Just instead, it will be increasing.
Yeah, I heard a really good quote the other day.
Is it a good propaganda?
This quote that I heard the other day said that the genius of tyranny is that it gets its victims to become complicit in its crimes. And I think the same is true. It also makes it complicit in whatever good things it does. But the same applies for the liberal world. it's almost like liberal expansionism has ridden on the back of making its population complicit. So, I mean, everyone is a celebratory of Western propaganda.
I just think about that, the more professional soldiers, not even weapon, because Ukraine started getting some professional weapon, modern weapon, we can see it.
Yep.
Which is acting on longer distance.
Uranium really, enriched weaponry.
Yeah, but it's only a weapon. But I think it's a lack of professional soldiers there in Ukraine to defeat Russia just faster. Anyway, for now, the whole amount of casualties from military persons are just digits on the counter. And anyway, it will be happening. It's happening today. It will be happening probably tomorrow. But to make it just, I don't know, just let's make it fast. Why we should last in this conflict for 100 years or I don't know. Let's make it, really fast. Just allow professional soldiers to go to Ukrainian side. I just can't understand why a football team are able to hire literally any footballist to their team, but why the army, the same army of the same region, not able to hire soldiers that they want?
Yeah,
I just can't understand why.
This argument was in the addendum to your article. I never put it in the final edit.
Why it is unethical? I can't understand. Professional soldiers who know how to do the work, who want doing so.
Well, I'm sure the Ukrainian state would love to invite foreign mercenaries to fight for it officially, but the way the American soldiers are not going to formally fight for Ukraine against Russia. That's a big problem. Like, it's a big problem. It can be done unofficially, but it's a big problem.
Now just a big problem with the motivation of soldiers, and I see a lot is growing just like a lawine of publications about motivation from Ukrainian side. Of course, and it's understandable.
You think that the motivation is waning or increasing?
Because you will realize now, not to be going to the army in Ukraine, you must to pay the bribe.
Mm-hmm.
You know that it's pretty well known fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's about several thousands of dollars. For being able to leave Ukraine, we wrote it in the article from our source, who was crossed the border just without any bribes, just by himself, and consider it the best because he is not dependable on others. But for being able to leave Ukraine, you must pay the bribe about $10,000, $12,000 now.
Mm-hmm.
It was less amount before, but now it's the price. But also, to go to the front line, to be soldier, if you are just a volunteer, you just say, okay, I want to be soldier, let's hire me, you must pay bribe also. And it's also several $1,000s. Why?
You mean you have to pay a bribe to get into the military?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's not what I'm talking about. It's not what's happening in 100% of cases. Yeah, but it's happening, and I know that. And soldiers who told me about told me, yeah, I'm just it's real, and that's why chief of military office in Odessa just bought after war a villa in Spain for 4.5 million euros in Spain, and bought the whole garage of elite cars, elite vehicles, which is cost for other probably several millions. That's why. And his official salary is kind of $200 about so. Yeah, that's
understood.
why. That's why, and that's pretty well-known case, and you can see it. And just imagine in that situation where everyone in Ukraine just clearly knows that it's no other way to Ukraine than to win Russia. It might be happening, and it will be happening. Of course, we all believe in it. But when? People just starting to lose their motivation because why in Ukraine they taking bribes for sending people to front line? Because those people will be having some social benefits afterwards, and it's such Ukraine is still poorest country of Europe. Still, just think about it. And people just to go to the war, forgetting those to be killed maybe, but if they will be alive, they will be getting some good benefits. Relatively good, of course. Because those benefits is just like kind of being able to buy some bread and butter.
What's your gut feeling for the future? What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know. Let's see. Because ever since you remember that case that we write about Prigozhin and where is he now? We wrote about Strelkov and where is he now? It was some kind of predictions which was happened, but I spent a lot of time to predict it. I can't just predict what will be happening now, sitting here just in second. I need to think about it. I just don't know. I just don't know. But what I feel that it will be lasting because and it's not prediction, it's just logical, because we see from both sides enough amount of people who want to be to fight. Yeah. And if they want, the government will be happy to allow them to do so.
Yeah, it's like the quote that the Western world is happy to fight Russia till the very last Ukrainian.
Yeah. And if collective mind in Ukraine will get this point that they will be saying, okay, just enough of it, let's stop it at any condition. Did you see some street fighting?
Well, yeah, I've seen many street fights.
Yeah. You can tell me how it's happening. Even with the victim.
It just goes to the ground and they wrestle.
Because victim just probably do not know that it's might be other way. It's really sad to realize to you and to all viewers. It's really sad for me talking about so. But if the victim shows that the victim might be dangerous, this war will be never stopped. It's the only hope for us now that war will be stopped, that Putin will be gone. But I just afraid that after Putin, some kind of even worse dictator, the real dictator after Putin, will be coming also. And that's a good question that we raise it in publication. How much versions of Putin personal they have? You can just think. It was officially confirmed that it was 6 of Fidel Castro, 6 persons who played this role. And when you play in when you have those amount of Fidel Castro, where is the real Fidel?
What do you mean 6 people, body doubles?
Yeah, who doubled real Fidel, but where is real?
But how I read it was that
it was official information from CI.
Official information from the CIA.
Yes,
like the CIA World Fact Book facts.
Oh yeah. It was official,
Yeah. But
if you do not trust the CIA, who will be trusted in that world?
But it's kind of funny that they put out the CIA
it's funny.
World Fact.
I know. But how just look at the Putin, and you can't fake, the form of the here, and it's different now. and probably that's one of the reasons which Putin has divorced with his wife, because wife is always able to define where is her husband or not. She is able to see him naked.
What the fuck? You're saying that you're saying that Putin's wife left
That's
him because it wasn't even Putin.
But yeah, she will be. But now he's divorced, probably because of that. How much world leaders who has divorced? Probably just two of them now, Macron and Putin. Yeah,
Macron got a divorce.
I don't remember. Probably but right. Putin clearly divorced. Yeah, and
I didn't know that.
And
I don't follow it.
Just look at those. They just double each other. It was some man who started the first wave of aggression named Putin, but now I believe he's looking such differently. Of course, because of Botox, but it's it's just and Botox too.
But of all the possible worlds that could exist in Russia, where do you think Putin ranks in the level of authoritarian leaders? If Putin didn't exist, would there be somebody worse?
Talking about ethics of the war, I can trust you that at the day that Russian local propaganda will be changing their aim, the whole society will be changing it too, just in days. We now thinking that Russians just victims probably of those propaganda, but maybe they're just such dumb and no deserve to live even in our globe, because they just such dumb to not able to realize that. But look what happened after Second World War with German people. It was just like, in one day. And it will be the same happening.
Look at Japan. Japan's a very peaceful country.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's got lots of stuff that goes on in there, but generally it's a pretty passive country.
Yes.
So, yeah, and Germany as well.
And they became fascist, yeah? And it was disappeared just in days. Kind of, yeah.
But what I mean is not that.
And this is because of technologies, because people now still thinking that we are thinking that we want to think, and that's our own mind. And it's really funny, and many people just saying that okay, now at least we can choose different sources and read some news from one side, read news from other, and we'll be gathering some picture. No, because from one side it will be narrative, and from other side other narrative. And instead of drinking from two wells with clean water, you will be drinking from two wells with dirty water.
So you think that Russia has a genuine chance of joining the West world?
I just remember that funny moment that when Soviet Union was crushed, and after probably 7 or 10 years, it was kind of explosion, and it was really fashionable to go to the Moscow to take pictures, I don't know, for Western people it was kind of, and I read a lot of articles who visited Russia and with eyes opened, just came back full of emotions, and that was the time that you may just to go to in Moscow to some discotheque and see all stars. All stars was played there. World stars of house music, deep house, disco, everything. It was techno. It was kind of explosion. But now you can see just who performing in club in Moscow: DJ Ivanov, DJ Petrov, DJ Sidorov. And that's pretty funny. How long they can be eating their own shit? I don't know. Depends of their taste. If they want to do so, they,
Originally on when this war began, I thought to myself, like, shit, Russia's going to be so isolated. And I thought the Russian people are not going to allow themselves just to be backed into like a Eurasian corner. I mean, I know some of the political leadership and philosophers have got the idea that Russia's a Eurasian country, but I can't see it happening in the long term. I think Russia joins more with the West over time in opposition to the rise of China. That's what I think happens. Despite all of this, I think it will happen eventually.
Yeah, that's pretty controversial thing to try to defeat the West world, having iPhone in your in your pants.
Yeah, but it's a powerful tool, that's for sure. Was it you that was saying the
and
iPhone's the
that's
most powerful
one of
tool
the
in the world?
what?
Was it you that was saying the iPhone's the most powerful thing ever invented?
Not only, but look, I was born in Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Where to buy jeans, you needed to work for probably 3 months and spend all the salary to buy even one pair.
Yeah.
Do you consider this normal? No. Is it why Soviet Union has crashed such fast? Yes.
Yeah.
Why not? When someone just starting to tell that sanctions are not work, they work. And of course, it's really irritating Putin and the whole surrounding, who has tried to build some Silicon Valley in Russia. Who has tried to build some technologies, who has trying to invent some new chips for the weapon, but you can see it's just Chinese and chips. They just changing the marks on them and using them, and it will be working just at long distance, not at the first day, as it was spreading in public society for the whole globe at the first months of the war, that everyone will be helping Ukraine. Let's make it no, let's make it not such fast, but it will be acting, just making Russians to thinking about it, what they want the best. When I just remember, and it was probably more than 20 years ago, that idea that probably Boris Nemtsov just told, from that moment he came to poverty. From that moment all Russian chairmen must be driving just Russian cars made in Russia. And they just played with the idea, this idea for several months, and of course, it was an option. It wasn't the option, but for now, after several years, probably, you see, for now, the story goes at spiral, but now, during the war, they're just starting to spread this again. From next month, it will be necessary for Russian chairmen already again to buy Russian cars, and let's see, it will be interesting.
I think you guys write in the article that you think the war ends when Russia feels the war at home.
Yes, I was just afraid to write in the article. When we did the article, it was several months ago, because it's a bi-yearly magazine, and I was just afraid to write that, to realize for Russian society that war is really dangerous. Ukraine may and probably should be attacking Russian territory. I was just afraid doing so, and I just described the whole idea of it, and then deleted it. But after that, I just saw a lot of cases that Ukraine started to be such brave to attack not even some casual villages close to the border, but even the Moscow, and that's amazing. That's really amazing that, those guys who work for the state companies in Moscow town neighborhood, They was just afraid to go to the work for several weeks, and they just went to house and having their job on distance, and they of course started to be thinking about it. What if? And that's question, what if it's the main question of the ethics of the war? Because when you just helping the Russian state to send soldiers to the front line and to send soldiers to the invasion of Ukraine, you must be thinking, what if Ukrainians came to your home and doing exactly the same? And I was really pleased to see how Ukrainian was such brave to attack, because it was prohibited for Ukraine for more than a year to attack Russian territory. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And it was prohibited. Everyone, Biden told, if you will be attacking Moscow, they will be aiming nuclear weapon to United States and to Ukraine. We should prevent the nuclear war. But then it was kind of overturned windows, It was open it, more. And then now we came, you can see I'm really proud of it, but I can be happy because it's still the war. But for me, it's good that just regular Russians who is sitting at homes and watching with popcorn this conflict, just starting to be realized that next shelling might be aimed to their houses.
It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Talk about ethics of war. What type of war is it where one side is not allowed to counterattack the other side? Do you know? I mean, it's we'll help you as long as it remains.
Yeah.
War's only allowed to exist on your country. No attacking the enemy.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, you can tell a lot about the invasion. You can asking for international help, but you are not allowed to go to cross the border.
Yeah.
They cross at your border, but you are not allowed to doing so. Exactly the same.
This podcast, this podcast, and the conversation we're having, I don't want to sound like it's too anti-Western. I mean, there's a lot to critique about Western ideology and propaganda.
I'm wishing Westworld to win. I don't want for Russian world to win. It's really scary. It's kind of worst scenario.
This is the interesting question. I mean, there's a lot of people you'll find on the internet that this is what they do. They talk about the contradictions in Western positions and bad media coverage and everything like that. But I want to ask them the question: what's the alternative? Like, would you allow Putin to win and dominate and take what he wants of Ukraine? And then what? A more powerful Russia that's emboldened to do whatever it wants. At some point, it does become about the free world versus the not free world. And the free world has to be strong and powerful. It cannot let the unfree world encroach on the free world. But while we're doing it, we can discuss the paradoxes of Western ideology.
Yeah,
but,
also it's really interesting which the weapon is allowed to kill during this war, because some international viewers really considered cluster munition as really deadly munition.
It is.
But both sides using it.
Yeah. Do you know what I think this is?
Yeah,
I think it's an alternative trajectory of escalation. I think that the West is incrementally escalating the use of more and more unethical weapons in one direction, just like artillery, cluster bombs, uranium-enriched weaponry, so that something terrible doesn't happen, like a fast escalation to nuclear. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and it's also interesting how much people has died during that famous Japanese American attack, nuclear attack to Japan. It's not as much people who died already from both sides in Russia and Ukraine.
Well, it's not as much as people that were being firebombed in Tokyo in one night, or Dresden, for example, in Germany.
Yeah.
But I mean, ethics of war. How would you rather die in a nuclear attack like this, or by cluster munitions?
Yeah, just let all those people just die, which anyway will be dying. Yeah, today some people are dying anyway, at any conditions. Depends of our podcast or not.
This is a dark.
They will be dying. Yeah,
this is dark as hell.
And probably they will be dying tomorrow. But let those people be dying tomorrow, today. Just not lasting it. Okay, let's use nuclear weapons from, I don't know, supply nuclear weapon to Ukraine and let them just use it.
I think people people not dying at all is best. But what I'm saying is that...
Is it ethical?
What?
Even to think about it, I don't know. Maybe I'm just just
what
such
I'm
a
saying
disgusting
is that
person. I just raising the question, not knowing the answers. The most complicated being me. I'm just asking, but not answering.
I'm not advocating for the use of nuclear weapons, and I'm not advocating for the use of chemical weapons. But you hear some commentators talk about the horror of chemical weapons, and then they're supporting the use of cluster munitions.
Yes, but
and I know which way I'd rather die.
Yeah, but clearly, I'm. What answer I have now that the war must be stopping now, because Ukraine, for now, became, according to official UN report, became most mined country in the world, and for demining Ukraine, it must be lasting for decades.
Yeah.
And when even after the war it will be mined, the whole ecological environment will be destroyed, so on, blah blah blah. For what? We're just making this problem just lasting in time.
Yeah, well, why we're doing that? Why the Western world
because of nuclear weapon, which was supposed to prevent the wars, but as we can see, it isn't able to stop the war, and that's what I told you now. It's really something, some new idea and it was untold, because we just use it to say, okay, nuclear weapon prevent war between Russia and US. But look now, US just says open it. That we are fighting, we help Ukraine to defeat Russia on Ukraine territory, and Russia answering and saying also that we are fighting not with Ukraine but with the US.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true.
Does nuclear weapon prevented this conflict? No.
Well, maybe it. Well, this is the thing. The Ukrainian war is a loophole. It's an alternative track for Russia and the United States to fight a war with one another, like all proxy wars.
Yeah, is it ethical to prevent nuclear weapon coming to United States? Maybe, yeah, it's good to make this fighting on the territory of Ukraine. Maybe it's good, yeah. It depends of your aim.
I read a report that said
what
that
you
the
want
Chinese...
to do. Yeah, do you want to prevent the war between Russia and Ukraine? Open war. Yeah, it has prevented now, but they are fighting.
I read a report that the Chinese mediated a sort of implicit agreement between Russia and the United States that the US would not put NATO troops on the ground in Ukraine, conditional on the fact that Russia did not make use of nuclear weapons. And that's kind of like the very fundamental rules of engagement in the war. So essentially, you do have a proxy war.
And it's strange. If nuclear weapon can prevent the war, let's supply this weapon to Ukraine. Yeah? Why not?
Yeah. Well, it gets even more complicated. There's an article in the magazine called Partner Proxy
That's
Glitch.
what Zelensky told about during his last speech to the world.
This article in the magazine called Partner Proxy Glitch, it's on something called vertical coalitions. And it's kind of like proxy war updated 2023 style, where you've got the United States may not have boots on the ground in Ukraine, but they control or they have information sphere dominance of the whole area. So you've got essentially Ukrainians manning tanks that are all but digitally controlled by the United States.
Yes, and so that's good. That's being controlled by Zelensky, who is not in military.
Yeah, but
professional.
I mean,
better to be for Ukrainians to be controlled digitally by Americans, because Americans are more powerful, way more powerful, and
it's
good,
advantageous for war. But my point is that for us to even imagine that Russia and the United States are not at war. Like, it's just the fictitious nature of war. I mean, this is horse shit. It's just not true. So most people know that.
You know, we're now talking about war. Just it's like something. Is it unethical to kill people? I just asking you. What you consider?
Well, this is what I wrote about in my
Depends
editorial.
of you can ask, yeah, or
Well, you could always say the blanket statement that it's not ethical, but there's plenty of circumstances in which I can imagine people deserve to die. That doesn't sound very nice of me, but it's true. I think most people agree. Most people agree they can think of circumstances in which they could support the death of people.
Maybe it's because people just it was ancient fear, afraid of some animals, for example sharks, who might be killed because he might be eating us, that chain. But I can see it clearly now in modern world. But what can I say? What can we all see? That now it's kind of justification for starting any war. And it worked clearly during the Russian invasion to Ukraine. Of course, it's not prohibited now. It's even supported by society to kill pigs, yeah? Mm-hmm. And we can kill pigs because someone considers those dirty animals who is not deserving to be alive. Someone consider pigs as food. But anyway, you will be not persecuted if you will be killing pig at the farm, yeah. But you will be persecuting if you will be killing pig in the center of the city.
Yeah.
It's that's just the first groundbreaking point where it's you just can't understand why why it's such strange. But go further and okay, it's allowed to kill pigs. Let's call our enemies as pigs. Let's call in Russia Ukrainians as dirty pigs. It's maybe twice worse than just pigs. And yeah, let's kill Ukrainians, just consider they are pigs. And that's exactly what Russians did during that invasion. And that's why the people who was involved to the first waves on the invasion, maybe in first months, was such evil. As I was in Bucha, and I saw that kind of damage to the whole environment. It wasn't damage to the buildings. It wasn't damage to the military offices, military bases, camps. No, it was for the whole environment. They just played, pretend that they play in GTA, having a weapon in their tanks. And why it was possible? Because they consider Ukrainians not as human. They just pretend that it was kind of animals it's normal to kill animals. Let's kill Ukrainians because they are animals. It's really simple. And
what's amazing to me is there's another article in the edition written by Russians. And of course, they're pretty restricted on what they can say. They can't really be critical of the military in Russia and whatnot. But they're making the argument that the Ukrainians and the Russians share so much deep history, yet they're still, despite being so close ethnically and linguistically, it's still very easy actually to dehumanize someone to the point of murder and killing them. So this is the thing, right? Unethical, yeah, but it's just so easy. It's almost like humans are built for war.
Yes, but each time. When someone telling you that you made to go to the front line because of history, you just should be remember that history is not a science.
No,
it's really not a science because it has no hypothesis which can be provable, and it isn't able to give us even simplest questions. What's the rituals? Okay, I can ask you. You found some artifacts. What kind of rituals ancient people did with the help of those artifacts? The history is having only one and only answer to it. It was because of religion, and that means to being translated to normal language, we do not know. And we do not know about pyramids. We do not know about literally any except some documents which was alive during all those history of war. Alexandria Library and Nero who burned Rome, and a lot of mysteries about library in Vatican. Why it isn't open for people, and it's just not science. You can just say clearly that it's not science. When someone tell you that you that you should be protecting the memory of your grandfather. What's the memory? Is it existing? Not. Is that memory existing in your head, but not in the head of Putin or someone else, Mao Zedong or someone. It's your personal relatives, and you maybe consider how to protect it, but not anyone able to tell you. But it's really starting being complicated, being wrapped in all those technologies that they make. The whole issue with Russian, with fighting between Russian-speaking and Ukrainian-speaking natives in Ukraine, they both having official Ukrainian passports, but some of them, at first Ukrainian-speaking people, at second Russian-speaking people, starting being decreasing in rights. And it's rapid, just okay, our language is our legacy, let's protect the legacy because our grand blah 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 wanted us to do so. That's the chain. And the memory about Second World War, which is Putin talking a lot about now, is all about that. It's about something that really personal, but they pretending that they are protecting some values. They are not protecting, and you should be prepared if you will be hearing that in your life once more, or maybe many times more. It may be just like a red flag for you, It's like kind of, okay, that's something untrue will be going after those words.
Yep. All right, Sanyo. We should end it. And that was awesome. Thank you so much. Just say where we can or people can find you. They can find you through Circus Bazaar's website with the publishing of your article. It's got your Twitter links on it, but just say it out loud. Your band name is?
Thank you for having me, and I really been here. I really believe in free speech. And I see it that we have it here, and that's pretty amazing. It's it's something that we told. It's just unpopular view to some things, but to the end, I just want to say that I really wish Ukraine to be win in that country, in that war. It will be really fantastic. To show the whole power of the West world in this war, and I really wish the West world to defeat that Russian propaganda first of all, but I also wish to it to be happened now, without all those casualties from both sides, because the more casualties it will be most complicated in the future to prevent the next one.
Okay, man. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
Damn liar, man. That's not true.